We are live. All right. I have no idea if people are tuning in. That's okay. If they get here, love it. If they don't, still gonna record this baby. Mason, Pelicans basketball is back. The Pelicans are 2-0. They have not lost a game. I cannot imagine what it feels like to lose a game. Could not be me. Certainly could not be 0-2 like the Lakers. Man, what a disaster they are. Can you believe that the Pelicans might be the first team in history to go undefeated and get the number one overall pick? Can you imagine?
I can't. I don't know. That's quite an opening. Fun game though. Not perfect, but we're growing. We're all growing together. Everyone's we're learning how to be good. I don't know. This is a new experience for us. I feel like every time, even in like the years that the Pelicans were good in the past, as few as they were, we it wasn't sure that we were going to be good, so we had to figure it out as we went along, and now we're just all getting complacent immediately. So let's have some fun.
Complacent is definitely a word for it because all of a sudden, us blogger folk are acting like they should be a lot better than 2-0. We have our opinions and we're upset about it. We'll get to that. But just want to take some time to gush and effuse compliments on how good they have been those first two games. There's been a litany of players who have stepped up to the plate. I have my thoughts on.
Look at you with your baseball metaphors. Look at you, just like the playoffs are going.
Oh my gosh! You know what? You know what? Maybe it's a dinner metaphor, and they're just stepping up to they're eating. Everybody's eating. They're at the plate.
All right, let's go with it.
Everybody's eating. Yeah, dude. I want to turn it over to you. See if there's any particular players or things that you want to compliment and talk about, because there's. I have one particular player in mind that I think deserves a heap of praise, but just want to get your thoughts first.
I mean, it's hard not to shout out Brandon Ingram for the first two games he's had in general, and he's taken over. I mean, as far as consistency goes, obviously the Pelicans have had a couple of great games, but what Brandon Ingram's shown offensively, the versatility. I mean, he had a few turnovers tonight, but that's about as far that's as far as the criticisms can go. Is he's scoring, he's getting other guys involved, he's being a facilitator. Like I don't know, I really can't say enough good things about the way Brandon Ingram started and really driving the success of this Pelicans team.
Oh my gosh, he's playing at all NBA level. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
The Pelicans are winning. He's performing like this. He should no doubt be an all-star. He should no doubt be an all-NBA player. I mean, this is wonderful. I think having Zion back, the biggest thing right now, Zion is contributing. I mean, obviously he contributes a lot, but the biggest thing he's contributing is making the game easier for everybody else. Brandon Ingram is getting incredibly easy looks in a way that he has probably not seen since he stepped into the league. And this is creating a situation where the Pelicans, when they're playing their starters together, they have four players capable of going off and owning you individually, one-on-one at any given time, that require multiple defenders to slow down. And if that's happening, someone's going to shake free, and multiple someone's are going to shake free, because coaches are going to be in a rush to put out a fire here, and then another one pops up over there. And Brandon Ingram, let me tell you, like, this guy he's ascending to yet another level. And it's amazing to see. Very, very exciting.
And they all score in different ways too. So I'm going to assume that the person you're ruling out there is Herb Jones. I'm just going to go out on a limb and assume that the offensive juggernaut of Herb Jones is not the person who's going to draw double teams all day. But I mean, I think it's really about, and that's kind of what has made the Pelicans so exciting going into the season, is how dynamic and versatile their offense is. Like all four guys score in different ways, and you can't throw the same defender cannot possibly stop like even three of those guys. And so I think that's what's really fun, is that, I mean, even if defensively you feel like you're a versatile defense, I don't really think that you're going to be able to. The Pelicans can create a mismatch. I think that's really the big thing, is that they can create a mismatch and they can go at you. And it's going to be, I mean, obviously, so the Nets are whatever the heck the Nets are. The Hornets are not a great basketball team. So the Pelicans are going to have some tougher opponents, but so far, I mean, the sky's the limit for this team.
Well, the thing about the Hornets is like, and the Nets, like these are teams that are capable of being offensively talented, every single night. Just they have with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on the Nets, and the Hornets. They don't have any individual players to star, but they have a lot of shooting, and a lot of people who can get up threes in a hurry. They put up 135, 7, whatever against the Spurs. They put up a ton of points on the Spurs, which we're soon finding out is apparently not that big of an accomplishment, given that the Indiana Pacers has, they scored 49 points in the fourth quarter there in tonight's game. But, these aren't, I would say, easy teams to go against, especially in the early portion of the season, right? It's a different story if this is happening in the doldrums of February and teams are about to head into All-Star break. But game 2, everyone's fired up, everyone's fresh, everyone's had a good summer, and I think the way the Pelicans have handled themselves and performed has been awesome. Just the talent that's been on display is unbelievable. The guy that I wanted to shout out and compliment and heap praise on is Jonas Valanciunas.
I cannot believe you went there. Like the stat sheet did not suggest you might go there. Like that he had a good game. I can't tell.
Yeah. A casual 30, 17, and 4 game where he just dominated. 30 points on 11 shots.
11 shots.
Throws, 14 free throws, and he made 13 of them, which is amazing for anybody.
Second on the team in assists too, by the way.
Exactly, dude. It's like, yeah, you know what? I am the best player on this team. Heard a lot about this Zion guy and Ingram guy, but it's me. Welcome. But yeah, that stretch that where I think it was the third quarter where he was just absolutely owning Nick Richards and just going bananas in the post, either drawing a foul or getting a bucket. Every time down the court. It was wonderful to see, to say the least. And I am very glad he's on the team and very glad this is a compliment that Zion has while he's working through his finishing issues, because there's nobody else I would want grabbing the offensive glass and scoring, because Adams would have grabbed the offensive glass, he wouldn't have went back up with it. So JV's gonna get a lot of points, a lot of good points, while the Pelicans are attacking the paint. So very happy for the big fella.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost unfair to Zion, or not Zion tonight, but because of how well this is such a weird thing to see for the Pelicans, for people who have rooted for this team for years, but because AD certainly, didn't do much to draw contact. So now we've got 3 guys between Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, and Zion Williamson who just are happy to go draw fouls and draw contact. And so it's almost like not everyone's going to get those calls on the same night. And so the refereeing is going to, inherently be a disadvantage to somebody. And tonight it was Zion. I feel like this team, just the way they attack the rim relentlessly, they're going to draw fouls, which also means they're going to draw contact that doesn't get called. And I feel like, you saw Willie Green upset about it tonight. Like there's going to be, we just got to work. You and I talked about this before the season even started, that they're going to have to work through frustration. And Zion certainly had trouble finishing tonight, but also I feel like he could have had more trips to the line than he did. And so it is what it is. Every game's going to be a different challenge for somebody, but I expect him to bounce back in a big way.
Yeah. Anytime he only takes 4 free throw attempts, but he's taken 19 overall shots. I think
something's off there.
He probably should have gone to the line more. I'm not worried about his conversion rate at the moment. I think we touched on it on a different podcast. He started the Stan Van Gundy year off similarly. I think it was the second game where he had I think he went like 6 for 21 or 7 for 21. And I think it was against the Spurs, but it could have been. I forget who it was against, but either way, very ugly game. Another like really low percentage game, and people are like, "Oh, what's up with Zion?" It's like, give him time, dude. He'll be there, and it's gonna be really scary when he is there, because that easily could have been, on a regular Zion night, if he's taking 19 shots, right? that easily could have been like a 10 for 19 night, and that's only 3 more buckets, and that's low for Zion, right? So 3 more buckets, that puts you at 6 more points, gives him 22 points for the night, and puts the Pelicans at 130, right? And what if that was a 12 for 19 night? What if that was a 14 for 19 night that we know that Zion was capable of doing? All of a sudden, these 124 point games are turning into 135, 140, and what is the team going to do about that? Like, I don't care how bad the Pelicans defense would be, which, by the way, the Pelicans defense is very good. There's been stretches. We'll talk about that in a sec. Pelicans defense has been good, but you'd have to have like one of the world's worst defenses to not win a game if you scored like 140. We kind of saw it with the Spurs tonight. Again, going back to the Spurs, the final score of that game was 137 to 134. They still won that game, even though they gave up 49 points in the fourth quarter. Because they scored 137 points. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. So I'm not concerned about Zion. No. Anybody else that you're looking and surprised at, impressed with, disappointed with, whatever? Let's stay away from the disappointing part. Just let's keep it positive.
No one jumps off the page as someone who just kind of blew me away, or just kind of was way above expectations. I mean, I feel like CJ had a nice bounce back after he had to leave the game early with foul trouble, and he was. I feel like he was a little ISO heavy tonight, but he got buckets, and I feel like he got a few big buckets when this team needed it. And so I enjoyed CJ's night tonight. I don't know. Anyone else who you wanna dig into?
Yeah, I mean, I think CJ's been steady both games. It was an efficient night for him overall, even though, again, his 3-point shooting, both the volume and the percentage isn't as sharp as he's capable of being. But he shot 53% from the field, 21 points and 17 shots. He had a true shooting of 60.8. I mean, that's giving me 21 points a night on that kind of efficiency. And it basically, what that allows you to do is like never have a scoring drought, right? Because the starters, when they're all on the court together, then they're going to score, right? And then you start getting those staggered units. Well, JV's cooking, boom, no scoring drought. Brandon's cooking, no scoring drought. Okay, the way their rotations are working, they're basically attaching CJ and Zion together. And so if Zion's not cooking, but CJ is, that's great. Like, you're not gonna go those 4 or 5, 6 minutes of like without being able to convert, which is something that happened very frequently last year, prior to the CJ McCollum trade.
Can you imagine? So this Hornets team coming off a huge win in terms of scoring margin against the San Antonio Spurs, who are just going to be trying actively to be a bottom 3 team. And then just matching up the next game with this Pelicans starting lineup. It's just, I mean, look, I know there are bigger title contenders at the moment in New Orleans, but as far as just what they put on the floor with their starting lineup offensively,
name one. Who?
Name one. Milwaukee. Let's start there.
This is an amazing question because I wanted to comment on this. I have noticed this. I noticed this in the preseason. There's not been one lob to Zion Williamson. Do people not know how to pass in this team? Maybe they've never passed to a tall flying big man before. I don't know. But this is an issue. Bring back Lonzo Ball. Give him $25 million a year. We need those alley-oops. Those full-court alley-oops, we need them back. Make it happen.
I think we can. All right, let's just go get Kevin Love then instead. Kevin Love can throw those. 3/4 court, probably.
I like Kevin Love. You know what we really need? You know who I think would throw those? Dyson Daniels. I think
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Anyways, yeah, I mean, I think this is a fair point. I don't think it's necessarily going to hold back the team, but it is another dimension that I think makes the team better. If you have dribble penetration, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to throw Zion the lob. And right here, Jack is right. Players have missed these opportunities. They had one earlier, and I don't expect Jonas to throw this, right? But they had one in the Nets game where Jonas got in the short roll, and Zion was in a dunker spot, and he just kind of like threw. It wasn't a real lob. He just kind of like threw an over the top pass to him, and Zion got stripped on his way up for a dunk. Whereas if he had just put it in the air, that would have been easy dunk. We'll see. Give them time. They've never played together before. Give them time. Maybe hopefully this team starts swagging out pretty soon with that regard. But yeah, 2-0, and both wins have been with double-digit margins, and you get a 12-point win. It's great. You'll take it, even though the score got concerningly close at times.
It did. It did. Yeah, it was cut to 2 in the fourth quarter. I mean, like halfway through, right? It was very close. I feel like so like I was just kind of scrolling on my phone. Like I wasn't acutely aware of just like the overall sentiments from the Pelicans fan base tonight. But I feel like even in like the end of the first quarter, early second quarter, folks had just kind of chalked this up to a win. And the second I saw I don't know, like I got a little uncomfortable seeing Billy out there. I feel like this Pelicans team can't take a damn thing for granted. I don't mind longer rotations, 9-10 man rotations, but like I feel like the pieces have to fit together when you do that. And I didn't really feel that way tonight for a lot of the bench lineups. And so I don't know. I don't want to throw any lineups out there that have like a ton of weaknesses when you have a team that's so deep and so versatile that you don't have to have those weaknesses like kind of pop up. So I don't know. Like the 12-point win is great. They could have won by more, and I think that shouldn't be lost on anybody.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've already sort of expressed some of my opinions on Twitter, and the thing I feel like should not need to be stated, but I have to state, is like, I am not upset that they won. I am very happy that they won. I'm excited. We've spent the first 17 minutes talking about how awesome it is that they're winning. I mean, that is awesome. But like, I'm not going to be someone who is going to be like, oh, they won, that's great, and just only talk about like that stuff and just pump that sunshine or whatever. And if I have an opinion, I'm going to say it. And those opinions may very well be wrong. Everyone knows I've been very wrong on things before. But in my opinion, I'm with you on some of those lineups. So let's talk about it, right? One of the biggest culprits, in my opinion, early on, and they've gone to this 2-man combo more frequently than I like, but this 3-man combo happened this game for the first time. It was the Devontae Graham, CJ McCollum, and Billy Hernan-Gomez trio. And they put that trio out with Zion Williamson and Trey Murphy. Let's talk about this, right? So you have 4 negative defenders, maybe 5. Maybe 5 in that, right? Like, I think Trey's not a negative defender.
I was going to say, did we just talk about this last podcast? It's like, all right, let's hear it.
Maybe. Maybe 5. Okay. 2, let's say in theory, it's like, I've got a lot of these shooters around Zion. Yeah, you do. And then you have Billy Hernan-Gomez, who just eats that space for no reason. He doesn't give you the creation. He's just in the way, and he's not going to give you anything on the defensive end. And so like, why are you putting someone there that's going to occupy space that Zion's about to go eat? So
and beyond that, like, yeah, you've got good spacers, but you also like these players, like at least like some of the Pelicans, you've seen it before. The Pelicans are punching above their weight class on the defensive end because they have size and length and versatility. That lineup has no defense and none of that versatility defensively. They can't switch and stop anybody.
You are built. I tweeted this. You are built to never have to play 2-6-3 people ever. Devontae Graham and CJ McCollum have now shared the court. They have shared the court for 19 minutes. Or 18 minutes. They have a net rating of negative 11.0 in those minutes. Right?
Well, like,
hold on. Let me pull up the traditional stat here. No, you comment.
Well, no, I was saying, like, there's also Jose Alvarado, who's 6 foot tall, even, but he's actually a good defender. So, like,
yeah, but like, why would you still put 2 of those guys? Why would you do that?
The sole defense I have is in the first half. You had CJ in foul trouble, like that. he came out pretty. He had, I think 4 minutes into the game he came out, and so that forced some awkward. I mean, I would have left him in because he's just not exactly a foul prone guy. Let him play, and with the depth the team has, fine. But I think that did skew lineups in the first half a little bit. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm with you. We talked about this last season.
So that's the other thing. It's like, all right, CJ picked up 2 early fouls first 4 minutes of the game, and you're benching him. He finished the game with how many fouls? How many fouls, Mason? 3 fouls.
Now. 3.
He finished the game with 3 fouls. So you just fouled out your own player for no reason, who's only fouled out of a game once in his whole career. Someone tweeted this at me, so you'll have to fact check the person who tweeted me this stat. But
that's believable to me.
Okay, cool. What? I mean, look, I think when it comes to coaches and coaching staffs, the biggest thing, the most important thing for a coach and coaching staff is to be able to rally the troops, to be able to connect with the players, and to be able to have everyone pulling on the same rope in the same direction, working towards a common goal. I will take that coach 10 out of 10 times over the best X's and O's coach, over the best tactician, right? Every single time. Willie Green is one of perhaps the most elite human beings at connecting with others and clearly connecting with his players and getting them to pull together on the same rope.
Almost to a fault sometimes.
Almost to a fault sometimes. Absolutely elite. I think there's very few coaches in the league, if there are any, like him.
Yep.
I think his substitution patterns and in-game decisions leave a lot to be desired, which I say not as a criticism, I say is an amazing point of improvement. Because you know what you can't do? You can't teach someone to be the elite human being Willie Green is. You can't do that. What you can do is have Willie Green grow into his role, grow with his staff, and learn over the course of a season, over the course of multiple seasons, those small things that separate the elite tacticians from all the other coaches. So one thing is not fouling out your own players, giving them a little bit more of a, I guess, flexibility to go play around there. The second thing is anytime you have situations at the end of quarters or end of halves where there's a stoppage and you're allowed to make a substitution and you're about to go get on offense, go put your best 3-point shooters out there. Go put your best offensive players out there. Why not? There's 20 seconds left to play. Or 40 seconds. There was one specifically I had in mind as the end of the half, I believe. And Najee Marshall was out there because he had subbed Herb off, so he doesn't pick up his 4th foul, which I think that's fine. I think that is smart game management. Is the last 30 seconds, you don't want someone to pick up a cheap foul. So if someone has 3 fouls, sure, sub them off. But you put Najee Marshall out there, and you're about to go on offense. Why would you not have Trey out there? CJ ended up making a 2-for-1 shot at some point in one of those situations. Anyway, it's the result was fine, but the process was bad. The process is, hey, you're gonna have situations where you need that shooter, and Trey might just fly open. He might be the one guy that's not covered. He can give you other things too. So that's change you're leaving on the table, which I think adds up over time and can frankly win games. If the possession margins are not that narrow. The other thing was, he had, outside of those Devontae and CJ lineups that are just not good, his other lineups featured 4 players who could not do anything on offense, and then Zion. And you're and sometimes I guess CJ was part of those lineups, but again, you're just taking the strengths of this team and tossing them out the window, and to a point where it's hey, you're trying to lean in on defense and generate these stops. But what's actually happening is you're putting out such poor offensive units is that they're turning the ball over or they're just not converting on offense. And the Pelicans are constantly playing transition defense instead of half-court defense. And it's their offense that hurts their defense, not the individual talent, in my opinion, of those defensive players, which in some of those lineups is a problem as well, because we've already talked about that with Billy Hernangomez and some of the other stuff. So They had that and that unit to start the 4th, which let me make sure I have this right. They started the 4th. Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
So it was Trey Murphy, CJ McCollum. That's a good start. Zion Williamson, Nance, and Graham. Which okay, like you're going anytime you're playing McCollum and Graham together, you shouldn't play Nance as well because you're already too small. You, you're just killing your strengths, which is to be bigger than the other team. It's just to rebound the hell out of the ball. I think if you want to play Nance at center, then you should play more of the wings. And then after that lineup couldn't do much, they subbed in some of the starters. They brought in Najee, and this is where I took contention because they subbed Zion out at 8:18 and they didn't bring him back till 2:55 was left to play. And they had extended the lead enough for, I guess, Willie felt comfortable bringing him back in. But there was over 5 minutes of play where Zion did not play. I think that's way too long of a time for him to be sitting in a fourth quarter in a game that he only finishes playing 30 minutes. In a game that he had, how many fouls did he have? 2? Sorry, 0 fouls. Jesus Christ. A game that he had 0 fouls. So like, hey, either be transparent with us and let us know there's a conditioning thing, a minutes limit, an injury related thing, or just play your best players when the game matters. Like there shouldn't be a 5-minute. I understand taking Zion off, give him a breather, right? He just played from the start of the fourth quarter. He played 4 straight minutes, right? 4.5 straight minutes. No, not even. It was less than 4 minutes because he got subbed out at 8:18. It was less than 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So
I doubt it was like a minutes thing because he played almost exactly 30 minutes against Brooklyn, and that doesn't include the last 3-4 minutes because they waxed the floor with the Nets and they had the scrubs in at the end of the game. So I doubt that's what's going on here. So I don't know.
So the thing is, he played 3 minutes and 42 seconds, and then they subbed him off, and then he sat for over 5 minutes, and then they brought him back. I think in that situation, sitting him for 2 to 3 minutes, yeah, great. Get him that breather, get him past that media timeout that happens around the 6-minute mark or past the 6-minute mark. You've built in more rest by doing that, and then those last 5.5, 6 minutes, let him play. Why? Why should we let him play, Mason?
Why should we?
Yeah, over Najee Marshall.
I don't exactly know what you're going for here, besides just raw talent. But I don't know. I'm not as incensed, I guess, about that decision.
Like I think we're a strong word. I'm just disappointed.
I understand. I don't know. It's weird because I look at how many minutes each guy played tonight, and like beyond the Billy minutes being like strange to me, I'm not like that upset about anything in like by itself. So I don't know. It's like, yeah, so Hernan Gomez played 6 minutes, and I would not have done that. Like I appreciate like it seems like there are some big Billy Hernan Gomez fans in the fan base, and I like him a lot, but I feel like he's an injury. Like if we give Jonas the night off, like start Billy, play him 15, 20 minutes, I have no issues with that. I don't really see why he had to play tonight. Like I like this game, I was not like a lock. Any road game in the NBA is a hard game. You've got to play to win it. Like, but as far as the Zion minutes go, like, yeah, could he come back a minute or two earlier? Sure. I guess I'm just more kind of looking at the rotations because I think one thing I really agree with what you said is about like why are we putting one of the Pelicans' top 4 scorers out there by himself? I don't understand it. Like. This happened to Brandon Ingram 2 nights ago. It happened. BI had played in the lineup where CJ was not out there, Jonas was not out there, and Zion was not out there.
Well, they're putting BI and Herb out there together, which is great in theory, and because those two do work well together. But he's in his mind, he's like, I got two starters out there, and he's not thinking that I got a starter and a guy that's taking 0 shots out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like I want two creators on the floor at all times, like that. And I view Jonas as a creator because he can create his own shot. And so even if he's not creating for others, like he's someone who you can dump the ball off to and let him go to work. And especially if you have a couple shooters like kind of surrounding him. And so I don't see any reason apart from like brutal foul trouble or like the Pelicans have iced the game already, why you need to have just one guy out there like that. And so I think to your point, that happened to Zion a little bit, and then Zion didn't play for certain points where probably he should have. And so it's a little questioning for me too, but maybe for little different reasons.
Okay, so I'm going to bring it back to Zion stuff. Here's a comment. It says it's a message to Zion. You must play defense to be on the floor in late games. I think this is 100% wrong. One, this is not how Willie Green operates. Right? We've already talked about how he's an elite human being. He's very good at communicating messages. He doesn't operate in this fashion, right? Because what was the message for playing fucking Garrett Temple all year long, right? You got to play defense? No, that's not the message. That's not how he operates. I think people need to get beyond this. Two, what I think is way more important is there's, in my opinion, growing statistical evidence that the Pelicans starting unit is absolutely dominant on both ends, not just offensively, but on both ends. So there's growing statistical evidence. Maybe it's noise, right? Maybe it turns out to be a fluke. But for now, and in this game in particular, because if we do want to be results-based in our decision-making and our process-based, in this game, they were dominant. Every time those five were on the court together, the lead ballooned, and they would just absolutely roughhouse the Celtics, or the Hornets, not the Celtics. I wish they'd roughhouse the Celtics. The Hornets, right? So when those five were on together, it's like, okay, cool. Willie Green, I understand you were getting stressed out when that bad bench unit that you put in with Devontae Graham basically coughed up the whole lead. And so you brought in essentially the whole starters. First of all, it was still Devontae Graham and Najee Marshall, and then Brandon Ingram and Jonas Valanciunas and Herb Jones. So you have three starters out there, and then two guys who, in my opinion, should be excised from the rotation entirely. You could have had Jose out there, and you could have had Trey out there if you were trying to get CJ and Zion rest. Because remember, those two are a pair when it comes to the substitutions. He subs them off together.
Not enough minutes for Jose. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's not enough minutes for Jose. So, we talked about how Zion subbed in at the 2:55 mark. CJ subbed in for Graham at the 6:29 mark. So they subbed out around the same time, Zion and CJ. But CJ comes back in at the 6:29 mark, right at that immediate timeout that I'm talking about, that I say, that's when you should be subbing Zion back in, right? So CJ came in at that time, and the Pelicans were able to extend the lead. And they had Najee Marshall on the court. Great. Now that you've extended the lead a little bit, get your best fucking player out there. Multiple reasons. One, the five-man unit that the Pelicans have and their three best players have never played crunch time minutes together. Never. You need to figure out that offensive hierarchy. You need as many real live reps. This is not something you can simulate in practice. You need that. Yep. Najee Marshall probably not going to be on the team next year, right? Like, he may not be on the team past the deadline. We don't know. Either way, if you're going to be a championship level team, if you're going to be a deep playoff level team, your best players have to be on the floor at crunch time. And if they can't be, then you're never going to reach those levels. You just aren't. That's just the fact of how the NBA works. The second thing, that's a great question. I love this comment right here. I'm gonna leave this up here from Matt. The second thing here is in situations where your team has the lead, I think one of the biggest mistakes coaches make is to start playing prevent offense and start focusing on defense and slowing the other team down. What you need to do is make sure your offense is at a steady pace. And so you're continuing to score buckets. Again, I'm not saying that he made the wrong decision in giving Zion that rest, but those extra 2 minutes, which, again, in the grand scheme of things, I am picking at the smallest of nits, right? I'm picking at the smallest of nits, but the nit is there. I'm going to pick at it. And in the grand scheme of things, those 2 minutes are 2 minutes that they could have used to try out their crunch time offensive sets. And then they did this weird thing at the end where they were doing offense defense subs for JV, and the defense was, which going back to Mister showing Zion, you must play defense to be on the floor late games, sir. They went with Zion at the 5 on defense, not offense. Zion at the 5 on defense. They would sub JV out, and then there would be a foul on the other end. They would sub JV back in. You understand this? Like,
look, and one thing to call out is we've talked about the fact that the Pelicans need to get their team, their main 5 reps together in crunch time, and I think it's important to stress that yes, we're splitting hairs about having those couple of minutes and having more time today, but after Utah, the schedule is Dallas, Phoenix, Clippers, then whatever, Lakers, and then the Warriors. So like 4 of those next 5 games, but like after the Jazz, there's 4 games, then whatever the hell the Lakers throwing out there. But like all those other games, those are games against really good teams. And those games very well could come down to the wire. And so you just want your guys getting reps in those high leverage situations. And so I do think it's more meaningful than maybe folks may think we're blowing this out of proportion because it's game 2 and we're 2-0 and everything's great. Like things are really good, but we've got to get these guys reps in situations that matter if this team wants to play at the level that we all think they're capable of.
Yeah, look, like this win is great. I'm not gonna be upset about it, but like you tell me if you gave me a scenario where you're like, okay, you lost this game, but in April you were an elite crunch time team, I would take the April scenario because I'm not worried about them making the playoffs. I think they're gonna make it. I said they're going to be the 3rd seed, so I think the wins are going to be there. Anyways, but going back to Zion at the 5 stuff, look, I think that's a good decision, but they need to commit to it for a couple of reasons. Well, I am absolutely 100% okay leaving JV on offense. I don't have any complaints with that, but Zion at the 5 is a good decision when you are up in games for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, when you play small and you can switch those things, you can really limit threes. So when you're up 8, 9, 10 at the end of games, the way teams come back these days is they start launching threes and it's an avalanche of them, right? And you start playing 2 is greater than 3, and that's how teams come back. So a team like Charlotte, which can get hot in a hurry, you want to limit their threes, and that's exactly what they did on the defensive end. Gordon Hayward got some 2s. I think Taylor Rozier, he got hurt, I think. But a couple of people got some 2s, got some fouls. Either way, they were scoring 2 points. Not really concerned about that because on the other end, you're also scoring at will. So Zion at the 5 also allows you to score at will on the other end if that's what you commit to. It just so happened that Jonas was so utterly dominant that you don't need to do that for the offensive aspect of things. But I'm a big fan of what they did. I did think they got that decision right at the end of games where they went small to limit opposing threes. That's huge. That's important, and I salute that. And that shows that they are capable and they do know how to make these small game adjustments that will benefit them in the long run. And that's why I said earlier, I don't have a critique for Willie Green. It's as so much as I'm happy that there's great room for improvement on his possession to possession management. I think there is, and I think that's not something he would have done last year. And I'm glad they didn't put Larry out there. I think Larry played pretty solid. But I think we're seeing early why my take of you should play Jonas or Trey in those minutes is more apt.
You didn't do poorly, but as you get better, you just need to do things differently, right? That's
look, man. Look. I have great confidence in Willie Green. I think he's going to, like I said, he's already an elite human being, and I think that tactician part's going to get there. And those are small things. If I can see it, surely his staff can see it. I'm certainly not an expert in these type of things. And I'm sure that's something that they will look and film and be like, oh, maybe that's something we could do differently. Whether they choose to do something differently or not, maybe they're like, oh, let's give it, 10 more games before we decide to do something differently. Up to them. But
yeah. I will say though that one of the nice things that even closer Jonas gives you is I just think about the number of times I've seen, and not just with the Pelicans, but just seeing teams make a run to get back into games. and then they give up a couple. They're on defense and they give up a couple offensive rebounds to their opponent, and just that they're backbreaking, right? Like, and that's another 14 seconds off the shot clock and or the game clock, and so that's what like the Jonas and Zion tandem can do to teams together. And so I think the point here again is versatility. The Pelicans have multiple options. They can go small at Zion at the 5, or if they feel like they have a strong offensive rebounding advantage, and can really use that and kind of rip the heart out for their opponents. Why not?
I just want to show this to people who are watching.
Defensive menace Zion Williamson with a team-leading defensive rating. Oh, look at that
team-leading
graphic.
Defensive rating. And you want to tell me that he's being subbed out for defensive purposes? I mean, he is, but look,
don't lie, people do.
Look, I just want to say is that sometimes our eye test doesn't reflect what is happening on the floor. And sometimes things look really good, and you're like, oh, this person's playing great. And then you look at what actually transpired. You're like, oh, I thought they looked better. Sometimes things look not so good, and you're like, wait a minute, things are better. I will say about Zion is that his defense has been the best I've seen it since he's entered the league. His engagement, his rotation, even the fact that he's generating steals on what seems like to be a more regular basis, it's been much better. But in this specific game, in this specific matchup, even despite the fact that he was playing with Devontae Graham and Willy Hernangomez, the Pelicans' defense in those minutes was fine. It was absolutely fine. So, our background changed. That's kind of cool. I'm going to bring it back to ours. But yeah, even the fact that the defense changed. What was I saying? Fuck. Whatever. My point is, he wasn't averaging points when he was out there. So those 2 minutes, how much could Charlotte have really scored if he was out there, and how many would the Pelicans have scored?
That's the right point.
The bonus.
That's the right point. Is that like the Pelicans were not. Zion doesn't have to be like the best defender on the team, right? The team just has to be not terrible defensively when he's out there, and that very clearly what you were showing. It's not that defensive rating does not mean Zion was the best defender in the Pelicans. We know that much, but it does mean that the lineups where Zion was out there were mostly pretty decent defensively, and so like the starting lineup as a whole had a defensive rating of 115. The one with the lineups with Zion were a defensive rating of 90. That's a meaningful difference. And so that means like the defenses with him out there, he was never the best defensive player on the floor, but they were all good defensive lineups with him out there.
The tape always lies.
All right. I want to get back to your Najee Dyson message because you were about to go off.
I wasn't about to go off. I just thought that was a
go off
point. Where here we go. What does Najee give you the team that Dyson doesn't? That's a great question. You know what? I will go off. Benedict Mathurin canceled his workout with the Pelicans. In the draft process because he felt there was too many players ahead of him on the wing, and he viewed himself as a starter day one. Right? It ended up not mattering because the Pacers drafted him at 6, and he went much higher than the Pelicans were capable of drafting him. However,
that man dropped 26 against the Spurs tonight.
That man was right. That man was 100% right that he would not have gotten those minutes because Willie Green would play fucking Devontae Graham and Najee Marshall over Benedict Mathurin, and that dude would be glued to the bench for who knows how long. So, yes, I have gone off, and that is all I will say on the subject. Shout out to
really answers.
Good for you.
You're on mute right now.
Oh, no. Oh, shit. Oh.
I literally put my headset away because I was like, oh, wait, something happened here? What happened to me? But nope, that was you.
No. Okay. Well, you talk while I figure this out.
What'd you say?
I was just...
No, I can hear you now.
When did you stop listening to me?
When I put my earbuds away. The last like 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Well, whatever. I was just talking about Benedict Mathurin probably.
I mean, I would say like you're not. I mean, you didn't really answer what I was saying before I could stop hearing you. Is like you didn't really answer the question about
What's the question?
Nazi
What does he
versus
do? What does
Dyson.
Dyson do? Dyson does
Yeah.
everything better. What Dyson does everything better. That's the answer. Why do I need to answer that? I told you about Benedict Mathurin. Anyways, Pelicans are 2-0. Lakers are 0-2, and life is good.
Despite what people might think if they're listening to us, but no, I mean,
first home game opportunity to start 3-0. That's huge. Can't take that for granted because their next set of opponents after that are not easy because they got the Warriors, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Suns. Who else? Dallas, somewhere's in there.
For the record, Utah just beat the Timberwolves on the road in overtime, and now they're 2-0. Or sorry, yeah. So Utah's 2-0 now. They beat Denver and they beat Minnesota to start the year. So this is. I do not think this is going to be Pelicans got to take this game seriously on Sunday night.
Cannot take it. I mean, they're putting up points. Like they put up points against. Wait. Who was this? Was this the revenge game of anybody?
It was a Jordan Clarkson game. That's for sure.
Lauri Markkanen, great game. Kelly Olynyk, bro, they shot lights out. They hit 23s. 23s out of 50. That's the thing I'm saying with the Pelicans. That is my biggest concern with them is their ability to match teams that get hot from three. And the one thing I didn't talk about is CJ only attempting 6 attempts. Trey only attempting 5 attempts from three. If I have that right, that's not that much. What was the total for the game? 22. They went 8 for 22. Again, it's one of those games where they absolutely dominated on the paint and they didn't need to, but there's going to be games where they have to embrace that. And I am concerned that they won't. We'll see. Hopefully not against the Jazz.
I'm blown away by Utah, man. This is I mean
23s, dude. 23s.
50. Made 20. Yeah.
Yeah, they made 23s.
Nikhil's got to be itching to get out there, man.
The Pelicans took 22. They made 20. That's crazy.
Nikhil's just watching all these shots go up, and he's just so sad that he can't be out there.
Bro, you know what's really funny is Nikhil not getting minutes and Talen Horton-Tucker really not like him being like their like last guy in the rotation. And it's like those were two players that were like really hyped up by their respective fan bases and just buried in Utah.
Man,
unfortunate.
Yeah. Any other results around the league surprising to you one way or the other?
Nah, man, I'm good. I think we can wrap it up.
All right.
I think we can wrap it up. It's a good pod. We vented. We celebrated.
We're gonna get grilled for being the haters when the Pelicans are 2-0 and have objectively a fantastic start. I think they're probably gonna be number one.
Bring your hate to me. I'll take it.
We both went in a little bit, but like this team's gonna be number one in net rating in the league. I'm pretty sure. And here we are.
I don't know. Utah might be 2-0. Anyways, thanks for listening, folks. I appreciate your time. If you haven't heard from our sponsor, DraftKings, the NBA season is back. You put $5 on any NBA moneyline bet, you win $200 in free bets. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and if you use our promo code, which is on the screen, I think BOOT,
I can see it.
And you make any $5 bet this week, and you get $200 in free bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code BOOT. So I think it looks like maybe Utah's a team to bet on. So, but I will bet on the Pelicans beating them. That's for sure. If you or anyone you know has a gambling problem, please use the phone number 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. Again, if you have a gambling problem, crisis and counseling services can be accessed by 1-800-GAMBLER. Shout out DraftKings. Thanks, y'all.
Catch y'all soon.